Sube el volumen.
Upbox.
Tiene algo enorme para ti.
Si te ofrecen drogas, te van a decir que se siente bien padre, que te vas a reír.
Adjust it to how you need to, cause
Yeah, no, I'm good right here.
Okay.
Does it sound good for you?
Yeah,
Okay,
but you're
cool.
not going to be able to move it that
Okay,
much.
that's fine. It's like
Okay.
right in front of my face, so
Okay,
it's like comfortable for me.
Good. Oh my gosh. So, guys, I have my BF here. I know you guys have wanted to hear all about him. And I know you guys have been asking, like, oh my gosh, when are you guys going to bring your BF GF on here? And here he is. I'm so excited. His name is Jacob Polhill. Incredibly talented, multifaceted, smartest man I've ever known.
Stop.
Genuinely.
Stop.
All right. Well,
Don't gas me up.
I'm gonna take a little shot right now. Jacob does not smoke like I do, so he's gonna drink for now, and then
Maybe.
if he wants to take a little hit, he can.
Maybe.
But just to meet him on his level, I'm gonna take a little shot. I'm gonna still smoke though. So, all right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna take a drink of your drink?
Whatever.
Which one's this one?
This is like 3 shots and a couple limes.
But this is that Mexico tequila that I brought from over there. So we're up. Okay. Salud.
Yeah. The ice is starting to melt. It's a little.
It's pretty good.
You know, it'd be really sick. I know you're like a weed podcast, but like if you had like a Modelo sponsorship and you had like a Modelo time and it played the little song and everyone had to like take a drink of Modelo.
No, we'd have to down it.
Yeah.
What?
You
What
remember
song?
the Modelo time song?
Oh,
Little
yeah.
dance.
It was like do 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 something like
Yeah.
that. I feel you. That is so fun. That is such cool. Like not even quarantine. I think that was like pre-quarantine, wasn't
Dude, it
it?
was like when I first moved out to Chicago. It was
It
like
was like
that
a
summer.
you and Tony thing.
Yeah, it was like that summer
That's so
after
goofy.
We met.
Oh, really? 2017? 2018?
Yeah.
Dang.
Like that was a crazy summer.
That
When we
was
used
a
to get
crazy
like
time.
drunk on the blue line.
No, for real. Okay, guys. So, like, taking it back, Jacob and I, at this point, it's going to be what? This is going to come out, I think, February 10th, I believe. The Thursday before Valentine's Day. That means that you and I would have celebrated our
Fourth
4
year.
years together. So we have been together for a minute. And taking it back to when we first met, we had made some mutual friends, a couple friends and stuff like that. And we would go out and we would fucking drink on the CTA, the blue line. And we'd be like, okay, where are we hitting next? I was in college and you were taking your gap year, right?
Yeah, that was the summer before I went back to school.
Yeah, so you're taking your gap year. I was a free spirit out of college or like still in college, but getting ready to go out. And I was just trying to be out here in the cut.
It was right after you turned 21.
Yep,
It was
yep.
the summer after. And it was
Definitely.
like, if there was a street festival,
We were up. We were there.
At least one day.
Yeah. at
Sometimes
least.
2.
So we were up. We were like out. We were drinking. We'd be like, okay, we're going to need a little road beer. So a little train beer. You know what I mean? So instead of a little train beer, we would have Monaco's, just straight up Monaco's.
There would be some like tall Modelos in the works too.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some like explanation about Chicago summer though, for like the people who don't know anything about it.
No, definitely.
Because like some people are probably like, what the fuck?
Dude,
you
like
guys are just
Chicago
wilding out?
summers, like you get 2 months, 3 months if you're lucky out of the entire year to just go out, fucking have fun and have a blast, because the summer lasts so little and it's just something you look forward to the entire year.
Like the good weather.
Yeah, it's just such perfect weather, like sunny days every day. You go out, you go to the park, everyone lays out, like everyone's just having a good time. There's always something to do.
Yeah. And you have like late August and the like September, but that shit is like usually so hot.
Yeah.
And
Then,
then
like, there's
September,
very
you
hot
get
days.
like 2 months of like fall. You might get some good ones in October, and then that shit is cold
Yeah, just cold snow.
and gray.
And gray. Yeah.
Gray as fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
Like right now.
No, for real. Today, gray as fuck.
First
Days
2
prior,
months in Chicago are terrible.
and it kind of sucks because like the weather right now has been the weather that we should have gotten during Christmas, and we didn't have that. So now we're having that, and
it's snowing as we speak.
Shit is not gonna get better until like probably April, May, definitely, because that's just the way it is. But Chicago summer back then, 2017, 2018, when we met,
Different.
It was a wild time. We would go out. That's kind of how we met. We would go out.
Slippery slope was the thing.
Oh, we would go out to some bars and stuff. And we haven't been back in a minute. I feel like that was very like a younger us.
What do you mean?
I feel like going to Slippery Slope and like Cole's Bar. That was very like we were 21, 22 type of thing. Because they were like very dive bar-y. But you could still like stay there the entire time and have a good time.
Well, the neighborhood was just different at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's so different now. Like, the vibe.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
put a Target a mile away and it was over.
No, for real.
But-
it was just like, poor people, go away. But
Stay at Kohl's.
Oh my God.
Don't go past it.
But yeah, Jacob here, fascinating human being. Oh my gosh, I love you to death. And I want you guys I want you guys
4
to get
years
to
in.
know a little bit of who he is. I know sometimes I promote him and stuff like that, but I really want you guys to immerse yourself in like this person that I like have spent so long with, that I feel like I've definitely grown and I've learned with along the way, because we're like the same age, but I feel like you are just light years away from me. You know, you've taught me so many things about adulthood. Like, I'm not lying. Like you have said before, you kind of had to grow up pretty fast and kind of take charge as an adult starting at the age of like 16. And whereas like I moved out at 18 and I had no idea of the world. And then, you know, we met when I was about 20 years old, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then you just taught me so much just because you've already been doing this kind of stuff, even when you lived back home. And we met here in Chicago, but we are from the same area, in the Rockford area, back home here in Illinois. So kind of go into depth about like how that was for you.
Like, how was what?
How like when you were like younger and you kind of were on your own? Because I know I have a lot of listeners that are just like, well, I'm really young and I'm kind of on my own. I'm 16, 17, and my parents just like, they're making me pay for everything pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it sucks. Like, it really does. And to anyone who's like in that situation, I want you to know, like, I feel you, and you can feel away because your parents are supposed to like help you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's
ideally they're supposed to help you.
If I were a parent right now and I had like a kid who's like 16, like I would still like
be providing for them.
Yeah. And let's make this clear. Like, my parents didn't like not provide for me. Like, I got what I needed. Mm-hmm. And then if I wanted to do like fun things, it was like, okay, well, like, pay for it. Mm-hmm. Like, you do that. And now that I'm an adult, I appreciate it. And even back then I kind of did, because like I had this freedom and I had this weird pride back then that was like really bad, where like I was like, I want to do everything myself. And like as I've gotten older, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, chill out. Like, you don't have to do everything by yourself. Like, you know, let people help you, because like you like, if it's all on you.
Yeah, like even if you're young. Right. Like, you're young and you like take the help when people offer it to you. I feel like when you're really young, the pride just really takes over you and you're like, I can just do everything by myself because I'm young, I'm powerful, all I have is myself.
You're invincible.
Right.
And you're stupid. Like, let's be real. When you're young, you're just dumb. Like, you don't know. You know nothing.
Right.
Like, I still feel like I don't know everything. Like, and I'm 25, And I feel so young. And I was actually having
good.
this conversation with my mom. And I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm 16 years old right now. And she was like, what do you mean?
Yes. Okay, wait. I think I've had this exact same conversation with you where sometimes I'm like, I am in this 24-year-old body,
Right.
but mentally, I literally feel 17. I genuinely feel 17. Like,
Right.
I feel like everyone around me is so much older, even if we're the same age. And I just feel like a child.
Yeah. I mean, kind of that. But for me, it's more like I have so much more excitement.
Mm.
And I think this could go back to I had to work and like not immerse myself in certain things when I was like young.
Yeah.
And
Immerse yourself in, like, what do you mean?
like when it comes to art and being creative, that was a hustle for me first.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like
It wasn't a passion for you first. It was like,
I liked it,
yeah.
but I wasn't talking about it the way that I do now.
Right.
You
With
know?
such thoughtfulness.
Yeah, because I was like, it was more dollar signs than, like
What does this mean and
passion.
matter?
Yeah, I wasn't making work to like make statements or
Mhm.
make good work. And, you know, that almost helped me now because I'm like, okay, I understand the business aspect of these things.
Right.
Now I just got to put the good ideas to it and
Mhm.
stop fucking around and making like subpar work because I'm fully capable of making really good shit. And so
Mhm.
like that's what's really been my focus. And when people are coming up to me lately and being like, "Oh, I haven't seen you put out anything in a while, so what's going on?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Dude, just wait. Like we're good.
Right.
We're good over here.
I think
It's
a lot of
process."
times when it comes to like creating things right now,
Yeah.
especially in the age of social media, people are like, you got to pump out content
Yeah.
24/7. Whereas just like I feel like a true artist at heart will be like, I'm ready to create when I feel like it's ready and I feel it in me to put something out and not have this like instant gratification of like, okay, well, I'm going to put something shitty out and I'm just going to get the likes. I'm going to rake in the likes
Yeah.
because that's what I care for.
You got to feed that algorithm.
Right.
But back to feeling like I'm 16, like that stems from I'm in a space where I'm literally like touching all these things that when I was 16, I was like, I would love to do this. And now I'm 25, I'm doing that.
And
like,
you're able to.
Yeah, like I'm designing spaces and I'm designing footwear and I'm thinking about like, oh, this would be a really cool art piece when I have time. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get to this. Like, and all these ideas that were like super foreign and I didn't have the resources or the know-how to get to, like I have now. And it's like, holy fuck. Like,
do you feel like it's a really full circle moment for you?
It's full circle, yes. Like that's the biggest thing, but it's like enlightening. Like, I'm still that 16-year-old that was upset. Like the shit that I was fucking obsessed with when I was 16, for the most part, I'm still obsessed with today. Like Stevie Wonder and Pharrell, like I'm still obsessed. Like this, like not so much with footwear anymore, but like the sculptural aspect of footwear, like I'm super into. And so like I'm an intern for a shoe company that's locally owned and doing shit that I really believe in.
Yeah.
And I get to work with that and be a part of it. And I get to, like, I was just telling you the other day, like some of my earliest memories of designing things were like picking colorways on Nike ID. And that's essentially what my first project was with the shoe company I'm working with. Is like picking colorways and materials. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
And now you're here and you're really doing
like
this.
I was doing this shit when I was like 10 years old, locked away in my room, like listening to like 8701 by Usher, which is literally what I'm doing today. Like it's the same shit, but it's just like 14 years ahead.
I feel like when you're in school and like I feel like school itself, I don't know if it's like the structure of it or what, but like growing up, you have such interest of like, I love art, I love doing things creatively, or just whatever it is that you enjoy doing. And then like as you grow a little bit older and you get into this like school system, this education system, it like strips you away from what you enjoy, because these systems are created for you to like become these like working people. Like they're pretty much setting you up to like you go out and you go into the workforce once you turn 18. And after that, after you got into this quote unquote real world, you find yourself kind of trying to backtrack and being like, well, what did I like back when I was younger? And you kind of find yourself revisiting those things that you enjoyed. So I'm really glad that now as an adult, even if you had to grow up pretty quickly and provide for yourself, you're refinding those key pieces that you really enjoyed doing when you were a child.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it kind of does come full circle in a way, and it's just really tight. Like, if anyone who's out there who's like listening to this, like, just don't give up on like the shit that you love, like, and nerd out, like, literally nerd out. I would never be able to have like certain conversations where I come from. And then I was able to like come into a big city like this and like talk about the things I love and like be surrounded by people who also feel the same way. And we can have those conversations, and it's like there's a community around these things that you love, and there's things to do around the things that you love. You just have to be vocal about the things you love and speak passionately, and like don't feel like you have
to keep it in you.
Like nerd the fuck out. Like
who's gonna like honestly, genuinely, at the end of the day, who's gonna give a fuck?
Right.
Okay, people are gonna judge you, like if they do, like that's really sad on their part, but like this is stuff that you care about, things that you enjoy.
Right.
And I think that speaks really true with people that are like getting out of high school and like are losing that sense of like, well, what do I enjoy doing? Right. So I think that's a really important message to send out there.
Yeah. Like don't get lost in it. And what you enjoy doesn't have to be a job. Like you can just love things and do it. Like there's people out there who just build boats. Like
For
they
real.
just want to they just want to build a boat because it's fun. And they love the process of building a boat. Like they don't do it to sell boats.
I think it's a entire thing like that. I think also goes back to this like social media, like new tech era of having to make everything a fucking hustle, where it's like not everything has to be generating money for you. You can enjoy drawing just because you enjoy drawing. You don't have to go out and sell everything that you make or whatever. You can, and that's what I see a lot on like TikTok, and people like genuinely expressing what they enjoy to do, even if they sell it or if they don't, where it's like, oh my gosh, like this person loves sewing and they're showcasing the pieces that they make. And it's just like, wow, people are showing interest in that. So I think it's really important to like, one, show your talents, but also keep true to the things that you enjoy doing and not getting lost in this mentality of like, I have to sell everything that I make, because that's capitalism speaking.
Right. But also my thing is too, is if you're going to sell it for what it's worth. And then if you're not, just give it away. That's my mentality for things. Like if you're going to make something and sell it, don't make it cheap so everyone can have it. You might as well just give it away at that point, because you don't care about making money, Yeah. So like know your value and establish it, because if you do want to make it like, your job, like don't sell yourself short. Like if you're good, like,
right.
You're good.
Yeah.
And the people who like say they know they're good, they know when they're not good.
Right. Yeah. You just have to be confident in yourself and your work. Definitely. I think people are the most critical of themselves. So if you put out something bad, it's going to be bad.
I'm very critical.
Mm-hmm. So that goes like you have dabbled in a bunch of mediums, right? So you've done painting. That was a very early onset thing for you in your like, let's quote unquote artistic career. And you drew, you painted, and like now you're doing something completely different. Like how was that for you, and how do you like jump around from one thing to the next and just feel unapologetic about it?
Just because I'm a person, I'm not a machine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel bad. Like,
because sometimes people like reach out to you and they're like, oh my gosh, like you paint, like I'm gonna commission you a painting, and you're just like, I don't really do that anymore.
right. It's just I would love to paint still. I just one, it's time and space, and I'm just interested in other things right now. And yeah, I mean, my thing is like I never wanted to be stuck. I never wanted to be labeled like this is what you are, like, and that's what you're gonna do until you die. Like you're gonna make cabinets forever, you
Right.
know? Like no, like I'm a person. I'm going to change over time. Like I'm 25 right now. By the time I'm 50, I might want to be a marketing guy or a lawyer or something. Like who knows? Like
Right.
there's so much that can happen. The world changes so fast. And I have all these new experiences, you know.
Yeah.
Like I just went to New York for the first time, and then I went to Mexico with you like a few months ago. Like those are experiences that like changed my perception.
Right.
Like, you know, like just 1 week like changes my whole view on the entire world.
I think that is really good advice for people that are kind of like, well, I just feel like I have this mission and I feel lost. Because I know a lot of people like coming out of high school or even like changing jobs or whatever the case may be, where you have this drastic change. They're just like, okay, well, like, who am I? Who am I? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? You know? And I've definitely found myself asking myself that, because when I came out of college, I had this graphic design bachelor's, and I was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, because I took the time and I had the education and I have the certificate now. This is what I'm supposed to do. Why isn't it happening for me? And I felt really disheartened because, for one, my university didn't really set me up for anything other than like graduating.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of like, well, who am I now that I like have this piece of paper, but I can't get into the door, and no one's going to really like tell me what to do and stuff. And I'm kind of by myself now. So I think the important thing that you have demonstrated is doing a little bit of everything and finding what you enjoy, because I've definitely done that. And I've done it all. I've worked in, I feel like, several different fields, had several different jobs, and I'm gravitating now towards something that I enjoy doing. And I know that I'm not going to be here and be a podcaster and a host for the rest of my life. You know, things
it's
are
a moment.
Right.
And that's great.
Right. And I'm trying to enjoy the moment while it's here and while I'm doing it and put my all into it. So I definitely feel like it's really important to dabble in everything that you really enjoy.
Yeah, like that's with me with DJing. I'm probably not going to be DJing when I get past like 35. You want to know why? Because most DJs past 35 suck. Like either you're really great at the thing that you're good at, and people who are also your age or like younger kids who are into older shit like come to you for that. Or you just kind of get swept away to the wayside because like that's just what happens.
Time just comes and goes.
Right.
Really.
And if you don't evolve with it, then you get kind of swept away. And I think, I don't know, just like taste things. Like, one thing that when you were talking about being in college and stuff, my advice to anyone is like, if an opportunity sounds good, just say yes.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you don't like it, you can just say no. But you can never go back and say yes when it's gone.
Yeah. That's a TikTok that I've seen before, but it is something that we've talked about before, where opportunities come and go. Opportunities are fleeting every single day, left and right. If you do not take the opportunity, goes also with ideas.
Yeah.
With ideas, and they're just like ongoing. If you don't take it, the next person will.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so here's the story about that. So I was working at Vans. I was a manager. And then I left for a deli job that ended up paying me better. I knew nothing about being in a deli. And then I ended up not liking the deli job after like a year, right?
That was like during the pandemic.
It
was kind of like almost like a necessity thing.
Right. Like I was never on unemployment, unfortunately, and whatever. But then this opportunity came up with a professor of mine who is now my mentor, where he needed me to work with him more. And a project came up that I was like really excited about. And I was like, just on the fly, I was like, I'm going to quit my job like right now. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is the kind of things I want to engulf myself in. Like,
right.
And it was like an installation project that's not out yet. And it's still in the works. But I was like, I'm designing a lobby space in a 40-foot like structure. Like, this is crazy. Like, you know, even if it doesn't get made, like the fact that I get to think about this.
You were a part of it. Yeah.
Right. But it was more so the fact that like, I'm over here making fucking sandwiches, like, you know, and I would go from making sandwiches to designing like spaces and a 40-foot structure and like all this other shit. I'm like, and the project's still in the works and it might not even get made. But the fact that I was like validated in a way, like my professor, mentor, friend, whatever, boss, he validated me in a way that was like, you are good enough to do this.
Right.
Like, and he doesn't realize that moment was like, all right, I'm not working a job like this ever again.
Right.
And, or at least until I feel like I want to, you know, and, you know, it sucked. Like I had to deal with some shit for that, like for that decision, but I probably wouldn't have done the things in the next 6-7 months I've done had I not done that in that moment.
Right.
And
like it was a very defining moment.
It was so defining. And honestly, like it wasn't that scary. Like it really wasn't. It was almost like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like it was going to hurt for a bit, but then it was going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you kind of get in that mentality that like, you know, pain is temporary, you know, like it just goes
It's
away.
giving Gary V.
No, that's more Mike Tyson. No, like pain is super temporary. Like, you know, it's gonna hurt for a little bit, and then
you're gonna overcome this.
The wound's gonna close up and it's gonna heal. It might leave a little scar, but
you're gonna continue.
Yeah, like, and you're gonna wear that shit, and I don't know. Sometimes scars look hard, so like, I would love to have like a little head scar right here. That'd be sick.
Let me give
like
it to
a fez.
I'm just kidding. Oh, not a fez.
You know that head scar he has?
You're goofy,
dude. I'm so tired of people like when I get a haircut, they're like, "You're kind of giving fez." I'm like, bro, stop. Like,
how?
I've been looking like this for like 6 years now.
It's the beard. I think it's strictly the beard.
No, it literally is. It's so annoying though, because I have looked like this for 6 years, and now this like other white dude with a beard and a shaved head gets around.
It's giving like, Rory.
They're like, oh yeah. If anything, I was giving Rory before I was giving Fez.
If you guys don't know Rory was like Joe Budden's co-host.
He has his own podcast.
Yeah,
now,
he's just this ginger guy.
So
he
tired.
is giving Fez though. Rory's definitely giving Fez.
No, Fez is giving Rory. No, we're not gonna do that. Angus
You're
Cloud
silly.
came in late.
No, you're right. You're right.
He's
you're right.
feeding off of Rory's energy.
No,
He's
for real.
actually both of them are feeding off of my energy.
Oh.
I've been bald and bearded for like 6-7 years.
What about
now.
like Drake was the blueprint though?
Stop. Okay.
Take
That was
Care
another
Drake
thing.
was the
No.
blueprint though.
That was so annoying too, because everyone was like, "Oh, you're giving Drake." Like, bro, like, can I just not have a shaved
know
head?
it's not even that. It's literally just shaved head, beard.
I know
That's
it's
it.
so
That's
annoying.
it.
Oh, so I don't look as good as Drake.
Anyways,
Explain yourself.
It's giving Fred VanVleet.
Stop. No, we're not.
They're
doing
twins
that.
though. They're twins though. They're both Canadian.
No, they're not. Fred is not Canadian.
Oh, you're right.
He's
Fred is
literally from Rockford.
I completely forgot that. Sorry.
You're
Just
gonna
because
get
they're
killed in the
both
comments by the. You're gonna have to cut that out. The Rockford
the
pitchforks are coming out.
Rockford shorties do not listen to this, so please.
They're gonna come out the
Spare
woodworks now.
yourselves.
They're gonna join the Discord.
No, for real. I'm gonna cut this clip, put it on TikTok so they can come for me specifically.
Fred's gonna see it. I'm gonna send it to him.
Fuck it. Oh yeah. Let me text him really quick.
You're annoying.
But Jacob and I met like
Great segue.
Jacob and I met back in like 2017. 2017, right?
Whatever.
Something like that. Honestly, it was 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
It was 2017.
So that would have been summer 2018, just for fact checking.
No, it would have been summer 2017.
No, 2018, because we met in like
October, November.
whatever. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, but honestly, we don't keep track of like the anniversary because things happen like so jumbly, and I feel like we always change the anniversary date because it's supposed to be
What
right
is
now.
it then? You tell me.
I always thought it was like February 8th.
I always said the 9th.
Okay,
I always
like,
said it because this is my way of remembering. Because my birthday is on the 10th of December. So I was like, oh, it's like one day before.
What?
That's how I always remembered it. But
I always thought it was the 8th. Maybe because it was closer to a weekend.
I also feel like we've only ever celebrated on the 9th. I feel like every year we have a discussion.
I think it's because it's close to the weekend. Like whatever day is closer to the weekend, that's
we just
the
pick
weekend.
it.
Yeah.
It's a floating anniversary.
No,
who cares?
really.
Time
Yeah.
isn't real.
It's like the first, like it's like the second week of February that I feel like it's between the 1st and Valentine's Day is when we celebrate, like right in the middle.
We just pick.
Yeah,
every
we just
year.
pick
We're
for
just like,
real.
oh, that one.
That one will be a good day.
That one.
But we met here in Chicago. Jacob and I are from the same place in the Rockford area,
Yeah, we can say
Illinois.
that.
Yeah.
We had no idea who each other was. Either.
Yeah, like we had no recollection of each other's existence. But Jacob's friends came
Oh, we're
from
doing the whole
Rockford.
story?
Yeah, why not? They came from like Rockford to do this pop up at the now RIP Nini's Deli.
No, rest in piss, not peace. Anyway.
Anyways, they were at Nini's Deli, and then Nini's Deli does no longer exist because they're kind of pieces of shit. But we met there. They were having a pop up, and then I went because I had a mutual friend who was like dating one of your friends, and I was like, okay, I've been living here for like 2 years, like here in Chicago, and I don't really have a lot of friends. So I heard that she was gonna probably be there because her man's was there. So
She wasn't there.
as she wasn't there, I pulled up and I was like, damn, you're
But
not
you know
here.
who it was?
Popped.
Me.
So I went there and I felt really fucking awkward at that point because like homegirl wasn't there, but I still knew the guy. Like I knew her boyfriend or whatever. So I was just gonna like stop by and say hi to him. And then they were talking, like him and his buddy who the pop-up was with was like they were talking to other people, and I was like, damn, this shit is kind of awkward, right? And
then
then
I slid in.
anyways, you were there, and I was just like, well, I'm not gonna talk to anyone and just stand here. So I like saw him by like their table, and we struck up some conversation and stuff. So that happened, and then you told me that you were gonna go work at Vans, And I was like, oh, like I work at North Face. And at the time, that meant nothing to you. But if you knew, like, if you guys work for those companies, we worked under this umbrella company. And I told you, I was like, oh, we're not going to be coworkers, but we're going to be under the same umbrella.
I had no idea what she was talking about.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, we're owned by the same company and stuff. So after that, we followed each other on social media and stuff, and then yeah, after that, I think it was all a blur for me. It went from the DMs to like us being together. So that was kind of it.
There was
Mhm.
some intermediate action there.
Like we did hang out. We hung out
Yeah.
like prior and stuff. So there was definitely a lot of that. And I think we like dated for like a couple months. It was from like October until February of the next year.
It was like a while.
Yeah, we talked for
We were
like a little
fucking
bit.
around.
Yeah, we were like running around, like going out doing stuff. So it was pretty fun. And then yeah, we got together. So
Oh, you had fun?
I had fun. I think it was pretty silly goofy at the time.
It was
But
definitely silly goofy at the time. That
no,
was a
for real.
different era
No,
in like
for
Chicago.
real. And it was pretty fun because like we would go out like on random like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and there would be like an art show. And we would just pull up. We'd be like, okay, what's the latest show there is?
They don't do that shit anymore.
I know. Well, obviously, like the pandemic happened, but,
yeah, but even before,
yeah.
I don't know.
It was like that summer, and then after that summer, it all just kind of like ceased.
Yeah, a lot of motherfuckers just got old.
No, yeah, that
Now,
too.
I gotta be the cool kid. Just kidding.
No, for real. We got to be the cool kids. We got to put them on.
Stop. Somebody's gonna hear this and get mad.
No, for real. Not the Pilsen cool kids getting mad.
Oh, not you directly calling out an entire neighborhood.
Okay, we're gonna move on from this.
Usually I talk shit on podcasts, and look at you.
Look at me. We're
Look
not
at
gonna.
you.
We actually. So before this, you guys are gonna hear this interview next week. We have this guest. I have this guest coming on. His name is John Salazar. Amazing guy, great guy, one of our friends for a while. And that's a conversation we talked about during the pod too. We talked about like before anything, Chicago before anything is a hater. Like before anything, like they will hate on you no matter what until you prove yourself.
Somebody was just breaking that down for me in a really eloquent way. They said it's like a poppy seed or a poppy field mentality.
I literally gave you that.
Was it you?
Yes.
Oh, it was
I was the one that
you.
said that we're like a poppy seed, like a poppy field mentality where it was like if one poppy grows taller than the rest will like cut its nutrients so it will not grow until it gets to their level.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I feel like we stand here in Chicago.
And then motherfuckers have to always ask why everyone runs away to New York and LA.
Yeah, they're like, oh, like
that rhymed. Oh,
okay.
not me over here. Just being eloquent. I'm going to use that word two more times.
Okay. You have a quota.
Yeah.
So I guess, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like a lot of people from Chicago run away to New York, to LA. It's just like the opportunity here, it's just more like industrial. Mm-hmm. It really is. Well, it's not really like tech heavy or fashion heavy or anything like that as like LA and New York, where people can go over there and they already have this like established set medium.
I will say
it's a good place to like find talent though.
I will say tech is growing here for sure.
Tech definitely is growing here.
Because, West Loop looks like a fucking CGI filter.
It's an incubator for sure. It has been for the last couple of years.
But I don't know. I don't want to talk too much shit because
Let's do it.
No. I just went to New York and I couldn't live there. Like I could go there for a month. Like if somebody was like, "Hey, come out here and work," like, well, you don't have to pay for anything.
Yeah.
I would do a month or two in New York, but I love it here. Like it's
really
perfect.
do.
It's the perfect city.
I
Like
think
it really
so too.
is.
Like if you
there is
guys,
bullshit.
there's definitely a lot of people that have reached out and have been like, I really want to move to Chicago. Like I'm really thinking about it, and I genuinely like really enjoy it. The other day, remember, I was like really fucked up. I sat there and I was just like, we live in one of the best cities in the world, and you were like, yeah.
No, literally after being in New York, I was like,
it's kind of mid over here. No, I'm just kidding.
No, for real. I'm like, what do you mean I can't buy a bottle of liquor at Walgreens?
Yeah,
The
like I
fuck?
didn't really notice that like a lot of places can't sell alcohol. Like you have to get it from a liquor store.
Yeah, and there's no liquor stores. Like out here, there's one every few blocks.
Like I'll go get one at the fucking BP. You know what I
No,
mean?
for real.
Like I'll get a bottle.
That's
from there.
some Rockford shit right there.
Getting alcohol at the BP at the
Getting
mobile.
alcohol from any fucking
At the mobile.
I've definitely bought my dad's Father Day presents the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, from the mobile,
Yeah.
right?
My dad loves that Grey Goose and a cigar, so it's easy every year. The best gift.
Just a classic.
Just a classic man.
So if you guys don't know, Jacob is Caucasian. So I feel like that would make a lot more sense
Yeah,
for people
everyone's
to
like,
know.
what the fuck? Wait, okay, like let's be real. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
When you first met me, and it's
No, I
funny-
did not know that you were Caucasian.
Yeah.
Was that what you're gonna
Yeah.
ask? No,
Because we had that conversation last night. You should
Yeah.
tell the story.
and I
That's
was
funny.
like, okay, yeah, like I seen him, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Like he's just this like. I just assumed, like, I don't know, because you know why? Because when I met like you and you were with your the friends that were there at the
They
pop-up,
weren't white.
They were white, yeah,
They weren't.
exactly. Like the guy, one of them was Hispanic, the other one was, I believe, like Middle Eastern,
Palestinian. I think.
Palestinian. Okay, and you guys were all there, so I was like, okay, whatever. And then I like was talking to you, whatever. I'd seen your physical features, and then I think later on, I was like, wait, so like Jacob Polhill, what are you? And
Who are you?
shut the fuck. And then you just told me you were white, and I was like, what?
It's some.
Swear to God.
No, for real. I really want to take a 23andMe, but I also don't want to give like my DNA away to the government.
For real.
Shit.
I'm like mortified to do that. What are
Well,
what
you
are
know
they
what
gonna
you
find
are.
out? Like
You know
no,
what-
but like there's a lot of like Mexican people that are like, oh well, actually I'm like I have a lot of Spanish blood in me,
Yeah.
like this and that. I genuinely don't think I do,
You don't.
but just say que tengo el nopal en la frente. Say it.
No,
Say it.
you're not gonna do this right now. Anyway, you remember the time we were at the bar, and
Which one?
you know which one. Let me get to the story.
Oh,
And the dude came up to you and started like talking about me to you.
I don't remember.
The one that was trying to like inadvertently hit on me
When was this?
at Twisted.
Oh, this happened very recently. I thought you were talking about
Like
like
a
way
few
back
months ago.
when.
Yeah.
Like when we first met.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
And he
remember
was
that.
like-
We were at Twisted Cantina here in Pilsen.
We're at a Mo Mommy set.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
were.
it was a Mo Mommy set.
Hey.
You had her on the pod.
Yeah, shout out Ashley.
Big
We
shout
love
out
you.
to Big Mo Mommy.
Big Mo Mommy.
Big Mo Mommy. That's fire.
Mo
Mo Mommy's block.
Definitely. We were there and Jacob and I were just having a little date night. Like we went to go see Ashley and chill. And then out of nowhere, this guy, like it was getting kind of lit like at night, right? So it was like 11, 12-ish and we were having a drink. And then this guy like came up to us and like the music was really good. So he was kind of like dancing and stuff. I'm kind of just sitting there because we had just gotten there.
It was just us two at a table too.
Right.
This guy walked across the room.
Right. He walked across the room specifically to come to us.
No idea who this guy is.
Right. I thought you had known him maybe and stuff, but then he started talking to me and he was like, "Oh my gosh, like whatever, like your boyfriend, or like, oh, he was like, oh, who is he? And I was like, oh, like he's my boyfriend. And he was like, oh my gosh, like this and that, like, like what is he? And I'm like, what you mean, my boy? And then he was like, well, like what's his race? And I was like,
He asked if I was Puerto Rican, didn't he?
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember.
And then I was just like, oh, he's Caucasian. And he was like, what? And he wouldn't let that go.
He wouldn't let go.
He wouldn't let it go.
And then it got to the point where like he was basically like, yo, your man look real good for a white boy, and like shit like that.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God. I was like, you're so goofy for that. And then, yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And then, yeah, after that, I was just like, this dude is being like really, what's the word? Like he's just doing too much. Like he wouldn't like leave. So then he eventually like walked away, and I was like, bro, like let's move like more over there.
let's leave. That's usually the cue. We're like, all right, we're getting out.
No, for real. But that was such a funny time. But yeah, I mean, Jacob is Caucasian, even though he looks otherwise. But I feel like you've learned a little decent something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think you dating me, a Latina, you've learned a lot of things, but I don't think a lot of things have really, like, for me personally, I'm just like, well, I really want Jacob to understand that, like, yeah, I'm Latina, but like, bro, I'm Mexican. And I was like, that will not solidify for me, for you, until you go to Mexico and you like experience what I've grown up to experience. So when I took you this past November, that to me was like, oh my, I was very giddy. I was very excited about it. So
yeah,
I like to see the world that I've lived in through your lens. What do you think about it?
About Mexico?
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Like, I really love it there. Like, I love that shit. I'm not a slow, like, liver, but you know me. Like, I like to go fast. But, like, that was definitely a place where, I mean, we were going fast the entire time.
You think so? A lot of the times I felt like, am I
Dude.
being a good host? Am I being like a good guide? I want to make sure that you experience what I feel like you should experience. And I didn't really understand that until I like saw you like taking pictures of stuff, and me being like, well, am I being a good tour guide? I was like, let me see your pictures. I want to see what you're interested in. And you were taking pictures of the most random things, like benches and like trees and stuff. And I was like, what is it that you like?
You have to realize, like, from like my perspective, like being a designer is like, you know, with a place like that, things are made based off of the things that are around them. You know? So like when you think about like architecture and houses, like, you know, Mexican architecture is obviously influenced by Spain, but there's a twist that Mexicans put onto it because of their culture, but a lot of it has to do with the resources that are around them. Right. So like when we come back here, it's not the same, you know, right? Like when we were in like Michoacan, and there was a lot of like trees around, but it was mostly like pine, you know, and like cedar. That's typically not a wood that you make bowls out of because it's very soft. Like you would usually use a hardwood because softer woods warp and like whatever. But like it's like seeing it and like I'm like, okay, like this is like interesting. Like you actually like do it this way, and there's like the methods of making and all that shit. That was what really was blowing my mind. Plus I was just like, this is a foreign place. Like I'm like trying to take everything in, and you guys are like, let's go. I'm like, I'm still it's just like thinking about so much. I'm still thinking about like the things from like 2 hours ago, and you're like telling me all these things. I'm like, so like there were times when you were explaining things to me and you were like, do you even care? Like blah blah. I'm like, no, I'm just like literally trying to process everything.
I didn't understand. Like I couldn't like I couldn't gauge of like what it was that you probably cared about or whatever. And there was so much to see that I feel like you had to experience. Like we went to Guanajuato, La Capital, and then we went back home to where I'm from, which is like this smaller place called Salvatierra. And then I was like, it's very different where it's like Salvatierra, Urineo is very rural. It's very like, es un rancho. And then Guanajuato is this like beautiful, colorful city that is like influenced by Spain because of the conquistadores and all that kind of stuff. So it has such a rich culture and it was going to be vastly different. And that's why I planned your visit around like, around what you were going to see, where it was like, I wanted you to see first how we lived. And then we're going to go to this city and it's going to be beautiful. And I understand that you might feel more familiar with this because it is more of like a city and stuff like that. Yeah. But I wanted you to experience like this, like 360, like environment that we all like I personally my family like had to live around to give you kind of like that full experience. But at the same time I was like, I don't really know what you're gonna like, what you're gonna enjoy, like what are you looking to get out of this trip. So that's why I was kind of like, what do you like, let me see what you take pictures of.
And that's what I kind of told you. You were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, when I told you, I feel like you didn't like this answer at the time when I was like, I'm going with no expectations.
Yeah, I was like,
I
well,
don't want any
that for
expectations.
Me gives me nothing because like I don't know how to be a good tour guide.
I'm very much a person that like you can put me anywhere and I can have
just
a good
do
time.
It.
Yeah, like as long as it's a good vibe,
let's go for it.
I'm chilling, you know, and. Dude, like, I know you made fun of me, but I want to talk about this on the pod.
Wait, is it this because of the Disney movie thing?
Yes. No.
Oh my God.
I want to talk about
Hold
that.
on.
Only because...
Let me tell this story.
No. I want to tell it. Because we were walking through... It was at night. It was at night, too. It was, like, after all the festivities for Day of the Dead, like this and that.
In Guanajuato.
Yes.
Yeah.
And... I don't think I ever explained this to you, like why I said that, because I don't think I understood at the time why I said that. And I had a conversation about Disney with a friend of mine like a couple of weeks ago, and it made sense. So like growing up, we would go to Disney World, or like we go to the Dells, or like Universal and like shit like so. Like that was my perception of like traveling. You know what I mean? So like when we went to Guanajuato. And we like experienced all that, and there was all these festivities, and like there was like all these vendors, and like all this. Like when I told you, like I felt like I was at Disney World, it was because I never experienced that level of like curation and theatrics, and I maybe curation. No, curation is the right word because like it was very planned out. And then also like immersion and like storytelling and everything. Besides Disney World, like that's what I'm saying. Like when I told you that, you're like, what the fuck? Like this is not like it's like real people. I'm like, no, like you don't understand. Like it's the level of like craft, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when I brought that up, I looked at you and I laughed and I was like, do you feel like you're in a Disney movie? And you looked at me like in shock. You were like, okay, yes, I do. Yeah. Like, I do feel this way. And I was like, oh, shit. Like,
but that was because
for real.
My perception of everything, like, you can look at photos. Like, I've seen photos like Guanajuato before.
Right.
And, like, I know people before you that were from Guanajuato. But, like, people can tell you, like, you've told me all these things about, like, you know, your town or like Guanajuato and like Mexico and before, but like until you actually go to a place and like you experience it, like it's not real.
Right.
Like it's really not. Like you have it's an imprint of your imagination.
Right.
So like the same thing when I went to New York. Like I had this imprint on my brain of like, oh, this is, you know, everyone's wearing Timbs. Like,
oh my God.
You know, talking however, no. None of that, you know.
Yeah.
Like the cult and everyone's mean, you know, this and that. dude, people in the East Coast are way nicer than Chicago.
Swear to God.
Swear to God. I swear to you. Like, I was like taken aback because they like people were just like so helpful and like caring about each other. Like, you know, when I went to the deli and like I got a sandwich and the dude, you know, dude's probably been working there since he was like 10 years old and he's like a grown like 25-year-old dude. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Like, what can I get you? Like, just real nice about it, you know, like not fake. Because I put in my customer like service voice, you know, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's just like when you go to places and you hear about it, like, oh, New Yorkers are like assholes, blah, 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 like this and that. But you actually are out there and you experience, like, oh my God, this is
like,
so different.
This is so different.
And it's like, oh, Mexico's so dangerous.
It is, yeah.
Like, it's so unsafe, blah, blah, blah. I never, like.
You never let that sway you from like experiencing.
Not even that. I never felt unsafe there.
Oh, yeah. I never felt unsafe there.
I never felt unsafe, and I'm a white dude that can't speak Spanish. I'm visibly white in the crowd. Like, I'd never feel signaled out like somebody's gonna fuck with me. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
You know, I never felt like uncomfortable where I was at. And that might just be a me thing. Like, this just might be like my personality.
But I feel like there's a lot of like stigma when it comes to like, oh, when you go to Mexico, like this and that, it's going to be dangerous and the cartel and all these like stereotypes of like what it's going to be like, this like fucking yellow filter light on everything that goes on over there. And it's like you that has you have family over there. Like me personally, like I have family over there and we go there once, twice, 3 times a year. We don't feel that. Like the people over there, like they don't feel that. And then I think it also goes back to I remember when we were there and you were wanting to take pictures and stuff like that. And I was telling you like, yes, like take pictures but also remember to be like respectful. I think to me the most important thing to tell you was, or like anyone that would try to visit and like go, if it's like one of your very first times, like not just Mexico, but like anywhere else, where it's like, personally for me, my parents have always said, well, you're going to go over there and you're going to experience someone else's life. This is you. Like, yes, you're Mexican. Yes, we have a home there. And that's part of who you are, but you're going to see other people. And whether you're there for like a week, 2 weeks, like be respectful because that is the way they live 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. And my parents have always like made it a thing. Like you have to be humble. You have to keep your humility. Right. And they're like, don't kind of like look the other way. Like, be presumida or anything like that and like be show offy and shit like that. So that's kind of what I was like trying to tell you, like, hey, you know, if you're going to take pictures, understand. And I would want you to be curious about things, of course, but I also want you to like know and keep note that these are real people and these are their lives, their everyday lives. And and just be mindful of that and not make it into like this like spectacle,
right?
Where it was like, it's giving performative, like when people take a fucking photos
of poor people.
Photos of poor people and try to call it like this art, this like whatever, like showing the struggle. Whereas just like, don't do that.
No,
that's
right,
like really disrespectful.
You're like gonna go home and work on the book or whatever you're working on in like your nice ass like condo with all your equipment. Like, it's super lame. But yeah, no, like that was the whole thing, was like it's all perspective, and you know, that's kind of, I don't know, like it's like an extension of like me moving to Chicago. Like, you know, like that was the thing, is I was not thrown, I chose to go there, but I mean kind of thrown because it was what I could afford, but I was thrown into a neighborhood that like was unlike any other place I lived in, you know. And like my thing was like, if I'm gonna live here, like I want to like be respectful. Like, this is not my neighborhood, you know. Like, I didn't grow up here. Like, this isn't my space.
Right.
So, like, making sure that you're being respectful. And it's the same thing with, like, wherever I move in Chicago. Like, there are people that, have spent their whole lives here,
Right.
and they feel a sense of ownership of the spaces that they've occupied for that long, and they rightfully should. Like, who am I to come in anywhere and be like, this should be different?
Right. And I feel like that goes for like, I know a lot of people talk shit on like transplants, like not even like Chicago transplants, but like, let's say LA transplants.
Oh, anywhere.
Or like anywhere. Like, yes, there's going to be those assholes. Like, there's always those fucking assholes that come in and just like disrupt shit. But I think, at least for you and I, we've lived here long enough. And it doesn't even go for me because like I'm Mexican and this is like a Mexican neighborhood. I'm still a transplant, and I recognize it, and I would never try to take ownership of like I'm from Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. Like, I definitely did not. But I also know that I've taken the time to immerse myself in this neighborhood and the culture and never try to like take away from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
So
just being respectful.
it's just being respectful, really. So I feel like we've done a good job of that. And I love the neighborhood. We're chilling and we partake in a lot of neighborhood activities. So I think it's been really fun. It's been really fun being here for the last 6 years. I think it's been, maybe more. Who knows? Since 2015. I don't know how long that's been.
For you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. What is it? 25. Yeah, dude, this August will be 5 years for me.
Wow. So it's definitely been a minute.
A minute. Damn.
But for sure, I mean, you being 25 right now, I know we've talked about in the past how like you and your education, so like you go to UIC currently, you're on your last semester, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to graduate. Jacob right now is in the industrial design program. And unfortunately, I know we've talked about before, at least I have here on the pod, about your story and how you have kind of like taken this gap year between like high school and college and stuff. And then you went on to decide to like continue your higher education and whatnot. But I remember vividly when you were kind of discouraged because of the program that you got to pick and how you did have college credits already.
Right.
But the UIC program, like they would take them, but you still had to complete a 4-year program, no matter what college background you already had. That's just because like the program was just built that way.
Yeah.
So I remember you being really discouraged at the time when you were about like 21, 22, right? And you kind of being like, well, I'm going to be 25 by the time I graduate. That is such a long time from now. And now that you're here, would you have done anything differently?
No, because you would have thrown me in that program at 18. I would have been not ready.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things. Like, looking back, like I experienced quite a bit. If anything, I wish I would have went back and experienced more before going to school. Like,
I think that's something that here on the pod we've talked a lot about, where it was like, if you have the opportunity to take a couple of years before going to college and really deciding if you want to do that, I think that's probably the best thing.
Dude, if you're 18 when you get out of high school and you know nothing besides school and whatever
job you worked at probably during that.
Yeah, some shitty retail food service job. Most of you aren't working for a small business that's like built something. Like, I don't know. Like, you don't know who you are when you're 18. I don't care what anyone says. You don't. Unless you went through something extremely traumatic, which I'm sorry. Like, no one should know who they are at 18. Because, like, you're a kid and society's not set up for you to like figure yourself out that way. So like I think the only way that you can go do those things is like get out, like go run, like run away and fucking go see New York, go see LA, go see Chicago.
I feel like that comes with a lot of privilege, though. A lot of people cannot afford to do all of that, or a lot of people cannot afford to take a gap year. Sometimes when I feel like it comes to like Latino culture, like education is like, it's just the next thing to do. Like you have to do it just because you have to. So I don't care if you're 18 and I don't care if you don't know what you want to do. You have to go because that's what your parents expect of you to get ahead. So I think it's really tough when it comes to like that kind of perspective. And like, I really wish that parents would realize that there is so much more and like more opportunity if we were just take the time and experience different things. But unfortunately, like that's their American dream, and at that point you're like 17 and you can't think for yourself, or you can't think for yourself, but like you can't physically or like you can't financially depend on, and like you can't depend on yourself, so you know you have to depend on them. And there's really no other option for that to happen.
Yeah. Well, if you do have the privilege and you do have the opportunity, I would tell anyone to wait until you're 20, 21 to start school.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to go out and like do so. Like Ashley, when she was talking about last week and how she got this opportunity from USC actually to do a program in Australia. There's certain ways you can kind of like get around that and kind of search within school, which is what you feel like you have to do at the time. Yeah. So really, there's a lot of free money out there. You just have to like go out and find it.
Get really good at writing right now. Like,
there's a ton of free money out there with like scholarships and study abroads, like a ton of stuff.
If I could go back, if there's one thing I could tell 18-year-old me, get good at writing. Get good at communicating ideas. Get good at communicating who you are. Right. Because if you can sell yourself on a piece of paper, like you can get free money. Right. All day.
And I will say it is really all about finding the right language and telling the right story to sway a person to be on your side.
Yeah. To investing in you, essentially.
Definitely.
I want to just double back on my point, though, with it doesn't have to be like run away to New York, LA, whatever. It doesn't have to be this grand experiential thing. Like it could just be like, let's go to the next biggest town over for a weekend. You know, like
experiencing new things outside of your bubble.
Like you lived in a city your whole life, like go to the middle of buttfuck nowhere and like just like see what it's like out there. You know, and just like move around and like go to
experience things, like see what you like, see what you don't like.
Yeah, and go to different scenes. Like, you know, that was my favorite thing I ever did in Rockford was I threw an event and I took the punk kids and I booked them and I booked a show with like the rap scene out there. And they never did anything together out there. And I put them in a room together and they played music for each other and a bunch of other people, but they were like, yo, I fuck with you. And they're like, no, we fuck with you. And like, you know, just like giving people the experience to like experience new things, you know? So like, I think that's what everyone should try to do is like taste things. Like it goes back to what we were just talking about in the beginning, just going out and tasting. Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay, we're going to get into some Discord questions because we did have some just to kind of wrap things up right now. But let me try to find them really quick. Okay, well, I guess I deleted all the questions off the Discord, so we don't have any. I'm so sad. Let me try to remember if like someone asked something though. I think there's definitely a question of like what we do when like things get hard though. Something like that.
I don't remember that one.
I feel like it was like something about like what do you guys argue about or some shit like that. I don't feel like we really argue about like a specific thing, like a very ongoing thing. I think it's mostly just like a regular bickering. But we also live together. Guys, this is our apartment. And I think it's just regular things. Just like living together. I think it's like a lot different when you go from living with yourself or even living with your parents and then having to like share a space with someone else. I explained it to Ashley the other day, actually. I was like, because she asked me, she was like, oh, how do you feel like living with Jacob? And I was like, it's like living with your best friend, but sometimes like you and your best friend can argue. So I would say it's like that. I think it's really fun though. So we're having fun over here. I don't know about you, but it is a small space though. So I feel like sometimes we have to kind of just be in our respected space and not talk.
If there was one more bedroom, perfect.
It would be perfect, yeah. But we're chilling right now with this one, so I'm hype. Yeah. Who knows for the future? Maybe maybe we will get a second bedroom. That would be pretty fun.
That would be sick. If we could stay in the same building, because I don't want to move again. Because you don't like lifting anything.
No, for real. Go ahead and move all that stuff for me. I'm not gonna do it.
Me and your dad.
No, for real. My dad loves hard labor. I don't want to say that though. I don't think he loves hard labor. I think that's just what he knows. You know what I mean?
He gets a rush.
I think he likes feeling
It's the adrenaline. It's
maybe. Like, I think he just likes work. I think he genuinely likes working. I like working. I think it's in our blood. You
know what Richard said to me one time? He said something about somebody was saying something about like their dad or something like working when they're like really old, and he was like, well, that's because like when men stop working they die.
What?
Yeah, he's like, that's just like a biological thing, like they're built to like work.
No.
And then when they stop like, it doesn't have to be like work, but like, you know, like task, like, you know, like accomplishing things. Like when they stop doing that, like they just deteriorate.
What?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
That's probably why women live longer than men.
Right.
Because
this would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because fuck them. I'm just kidding. But that makes a lot of sense. What? Oh my gosh. It makes me think back to like my grandpa. Oh. But he was retired. Like he was retired, and he would always ask my dad, like, oh, what home projects do you have? Like, what are you doing next? Because he used to live across the street. Yeah. And I'm like, Grandpa, you're really very old. Please just like sit back and relax.
Need shit to do, though.
And my dad was like, well, I'm going to put in a new driveway. And my grandpa was like, my dad is like the type of person to like, he's going to be a Mexican and mix his own cement. So he mixed his own cement for the driveway, and he called my grandpa over for him to help or whatever. And they put the entire cement driveway up in like a day or two or something. And like that's a lot of labor, especially like the way they do it over there, where it's like you have to get the rocks and then the cement and then the sand and then you have to mix it all together and shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, Dad, why would you do this? My grandpa's very old. And then my dad is like, no, he wants to help.
Yeah.
Like it is in his bones.
That's how my dad's dad is. Like he putzes around, like looking for shit to do. Like he just needs something. I mean, that's all they know though. Like that's just how
I think it's
live.
that generation though, definitely. My grandpa like has been here since I think he was probably a teenager. I mean, he comes from Mexico, but he would always come here to work the fields. And so when my dad came when he was around like 13 years old, he went with my grandpa to Texas, and they would just work the fields. Like that's all he really knew. Work 24/7. And I'm sure that's what your grandpa also knew.
Oh yeah.
All just work. Tough.
I think we had a great episode.
I think we had a decent
Good one.
episode. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me the time.
I live here.
No, you're right. You're facts.
I didn't have to travel very far.
True. But I mean, thank you. And I know you didn't smoke, but
It's probably for the better. Maybe next time if you have me back.
Maybe, for sure. But yeah, I mean, like, thank you. And is there anything you want to tell the audience? Anything you're working on right now?
I don't want to say too much about what I'm working on. Nothing that I want to expose. But I mean, y'all can follow my journey on Instagram if you want, I guess. But
For sure. I mean, I know there's some people that already do follow you on there.
yeah, I know. It was like super random. I'm like, who is this person? But
I'm just like, oh, they're probably from the pod.
yeah, no, definitely. But if there's anything I want to say, it's just like, dude, just like love what you love and like build on it. You know, there's nothing more rewarding than like just like loving something and caring about it. Like I know we're like a generation that's like I'm so hard and cool and like I have no emotions and but no, fuck that. Like
Love and love hard.
yeah, and nerd out. Like love to just love the things that you fucking
Enjoy doing.
Yeah, and just learn everything about it and scream and talk about it all the time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I hope you guys take a little bit something from that, and we'll see you guys next week.